Greetings, this is Russ Moody with installment number 6 of the Skaven Visual Tactica. And this time, I'm not doing a faux mock-up battle report. This is just going to be, I've just laid out a 3,000 point list, and the title of this installment is Every Rat a Purpose. And what I'm going to talk about is the fact that with the Skaven, unlike a lot of other armies, you don't have troops that are good all-rounders. You don't have any good all-purpose troops. Every single unit you have is designed for a purpose, and it has to be used a certain way. And so, going through, I've laid them all on. This is what I would run. This is as a competitive 3,000 point army, and you see I've got going from right to left. We've got a unit of Night Runners, a unit of Rat Ogres, a Doom Wheel, 50 Slaves with Shields, and there's a Doom Rocket Engineer in there. Next to that, we've got a unit of 40 Storm Vermin. There's a Warlock Engineer with the Skaven Brew. Behind that, 23 or 4 Clan Rats with Shields, and a level 4, the Graciers back there in the bunker with the BSB. And then going over, you've got the weapon teams are 2 Warpfire Throwers, and then you have 60 Slaves with Spears, a Doom Wheel, 6 Plague Sensor Bearers, 39 Plague Monks with the Plague Banner, and then there's going to be a level 1 Plague Priest in there, and then 6 more Plague Sensor Bearers. So I'm going to go through and talk about each unit and how it would work in the army. And what you've got here, these are Gutter Runners, or Night Runners, 12 of them, and you can substitute in here. They can serve as either Gutter Runners or Giant Rats, as the purpose is the same. The difference is that each unit does things a little bit differently. Your Gutter Runners are ideal War Machine Hunters, so if you're seeing a lot of War Machines in your metagame, then you're going to take Gutter Runners as your pretty much in this slot would be the ideal choice. The Night Runners are kind of like in between. They're cheaper than Gutter Runners, but not as effective, but they're more expensive than Giant Rats. But again, they also can serve as pretty good redirectors, just like Giant Rats. So it's all about, a lot of it's based on, in this slide, it's really based about how many points you have left after you put your list together, and just kind of what you like to do. For me, I found that I tend to never get to deploy Gutter Runners behind enemy lines, and so for that reason, I figured I might as well just take a group of Night Runners and have them run up and run at any War Machines that I see, because most players are smart with their deployment and they don't allow you to get behind their lines, which is one of the main ways in which Gutter Runners are most effective. I mean, you can argue that Gutter Runners get a little bit closer, but I mean, what's going to happen with your Gutter Runners is you're going to start out 12 inches away, and then you're going to move, where you can shoot close. Here you're going to start out 18 inches with the Night Runners. You're going to start out 18 inches away, and then with your, move 6 inches closer to be able to use your slings. And again, like I said, not as effective as Gutter Runners, but still a pretty good choice. And you see behind them we've got the Rat Ogres. And the Rat Ogres here, there's a Warlord with a Fellblade. And Rat Ogres serve a couple purposes. One, they can be used as a hard-hitting unit. Here there's 6 of them, so they're best used on a flank, and they're really going to do a ton of damage. So, and also they're also a great choice for any type of a monster. Especially here with the Warlord with Fellblade, he's a great monster hunter. He'll go in there and he'll kill pretty much any monster that's on the table. And same thing here with this unit. They're not going to get they're not going to get thunderstomped, being monstrous infantry. So here's a Doom Wheel. You'll see it's the old Doom Wheel, and Doom Wheel, again, same purpose. It's here. It's kind of on the flank, and it's doing flank protection, and also monster hunting, and it's also in a position where it can support those Clan Rats or another unit that and hit in on the flank. Combination of the two, you have a Doom Wheel and the Rat Ogres. I can use them if I want to. Also, I can use them to dual charge something and just shatter it. So right here, 50 slaves with shields, warlock engineer with the doom rocket, and generally with your slaves, you want them in the center of the board, center of the table, maybe slightly off center, but you want them in a position where they can't escape your slaves, because what they're going to do is they're going to look at those slaves and they're just going to try and go around them. They're going to try and bypass them. They're going to try to not waste the time killing them, because that's really the great advantage of slaves, is they're not worth the effort to kill. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your opponent has to go through that unit. So, and there we are, of course, the doom rocket. It's just 30 points. It's just so good. You can see there's a warp fire thrower, which again, working in tandem with the huge unit of slaves. The slaves bog it down, and the warp fire thrower just fires on in there. Here in the center, you've got the bunker, and you've got 40 storm vermin, and there's a warlock engineer with the Skaven brew to help buff up their fighting abilities. And the BSB, again, you can in this type of setup, you actually don't even need to take any protection. I still tend to put some type of armor or ward save on my BSB just because I worry like that. But with the Gracier in the back, and then he's positioned slightly over to the right, and the idea is he's going to kind of be there or sit in a gap a little bit on the edge, because right now he can actually see through. If you look at that, his line of sight is not blocked off, which again is something that's kind of important on occasion. You do have one or two spells that require your line of sight, and so it's important that that Gracier is able to see. Right here, 60 slaves with spears, and there's the other warp fire thrower and the other doom wheel. So again, working in tandem, you can either tarp it, shoot with the warp fire thrower, or you can tarp it, and then if the opponent's weak enough, you can use the doom wheel to win combat. But really, what I've got here is this little combination, and then again, that's just a close up of the bunker with the Gracier. And right here, I've got this. This is pretty much the rest of the army, as you saw. We've got 2 blocks of slaves and a bunker and the storm vermin. All that is there to just kind of hold the enemy in place. While over here, this is the flanking element, and what you're going to do here is this is a doom wheel, and then you've got 6 censer bearers, and then you've got 40 plague monks with a plague banner, and then 6 more censer bearers even farther out. And all this unit's designed to do is this is going to be the unit that you use in to crush the unit on the flank. Other ways to do this would be a horde of rat ogres would also work extremely effective, and because of their frenzy, they're actually a unit that can work well outside of the bubble. And there's the 6 censer bearers, and again, in conjunction with the plague monks go in, pop the plague banner, and then on the turn that you flank charge with your censer bearers, it's just way too many wounds for most units to handle, and they will they'll die very fast, or they'll break and get run down, and then that frees up your unit to continue on in the flank, and you just sweep the army off the table. So again, talking about groups and possible combinations, and that's how this is all set up. Is ideally you've got your night runners or gutter runners, and they can be used to either redirect so that they can't get that charge on those units that really need the charge. Like your doom wheel here, you can use your use night runners to get the charge off you want with the doom wheel. Or you can also use them. They're actually probably one of the more versatile units, as they can shoot. So you can whittle things down, especially in conjunction with the doom rocket here. If I want to, I can actually just kind of hold a little bit and send the doom wheel forward and just stall on the one flank, depending on what the tactics the opponent is attempting to do. But again, going back through the principles, you can see that this is more for attrition purposes here on this flank, and then in the center this is definitely an attrition here in the center with the Gracier, and just pretty much draining the enemy down with these units. And over here we've got you see the pure destruction elements coming through, and you also saw on the left flank that's also speed. But here we have this is really the pure destruction element, and using all of these the sensor bearers and the plague monks and the doom wheel and the sensor bearers in the back, they're also kind of a reserve, as what might happen is, depending on what your opponent does, you might need additional help and support. And so I can split these off. I can have the doom wheel help out the plague monks, or I can have it help out the slaves on the other side. Same thing with those sensor bearers. They can either go and be used as a dual sensor bearer flank charge with the plague monks, or I can send both them and that doom wheel in against the same thing. The doom wheel will do the impact hits, and then the sensor bearers will get the toughness tests. All of those happen before combat. So depending on how big the unit is, say you manage to get in your charge with 6 sensor bearers and a doom wheel against, say, sword masters, you've got impact hits and the toughness tests before he even gets to strike. There's not going to be a lot left to get to fight back against you, and which is sometimes is an important consideration to take into when you're fighting those higher initiative armies like Dark Elves and High Elves. And anyway, hopefully this has been useful, and you see the way in which everything can be used in tandem. And again, it's important that when you're putting your army together and putting your list together, that you think things through and go, okay, this is my unit, what is it good at? And then when you're deploying, you're going to make sure that you deploy those units where they can do their assigned role. And again, this is it's a strength for the Skaven, as it allows us to only spend points where we want to spend points. But on the other hand, it's also a weakness, in that some armies, they do well by almost pretty much they just throw their army down on the table, and as long as some good examples of armies like this, Lizardmen is a pretty good army. High Elves, Warriors of Chaos. Those three, I would say, are probably the top three that pretty much all they want to do is make sure they have their general somewhere in the center where he can kind of buff everybody's leadership. And beyond that, where they put their units doesn't matter too much. They just kind of pop their guys down, and then they go forward, relying on magic and their better fighting ability, better shooting abilities, and that kind of thing to just crush you. Skaven don't have that luxury, and so when you're playing, you always have to make sure that you use the units for their intended purpose. And anyway, this has been part 6 of this game of Visual Tactica, and thanks for listening.